Welcome back to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Yohance Harrison. So happy to be with each and every one of you on this hot summer day. I know it's hot where I am. It's probably hot where you are. If you've looked at anything on the news or on your phone, they are talking about how we are having the hottest days ever since we've been recording them. But you know, climate change isn't real. But I'll tell you what, it's HAF outside. And no, I believe in climate change. Don't think for me. For those of you just started to tune out, I do believe in climate change. For those of you that are tuning out right now, I still believe in climate change because I don't know about y'all, the climate is changing. Now, whether or not it has to do with fossil fuels and all that other stuff, I won't get into that. I just know that the climate is changing because it is HAF. Y'all know what it stands for. If you don't, check the show notes. I'll put it in there. I am so excited today to be joined by one of my favorite people on the planet. He is one of the individuals that I admire for his hairstyle. I actually went to my stylist one day and I actually just went to his Instagram. I said, "Can you do this with mine?" And she was like, "Yours isn't that long yet." I was like, "Well, we can try." She was like, "We can try." And we did it. We pulled it off. So I thank you, Neesin, for that. So I'm here with Neesin. We have worked so hard, Neesin Williams, that is, we've worked so hard to get together. We've had reschedule after reschedule, fumble after fumble, but we kept saying, you know what, we're going to make it happen. And today is the day we made it happen. Neesin, how are you, my brother? Good to see you.
I'm great, man. Then that story about your hair, look, she just was basically saying you're a grower, and it takes time, it takes time and to be growers, you got to be proud of that and just got to go through different stages of growing. And but once you get to that length, it's all beautiful blessings and salutations.
Indeed. So I want to, as usual, this is the Money Script Podcast where we talk about money. So I want to start with our current event as I do each and every episode. And the topic that I want to bring up today is near and dear to not only my heart, my son's heart, my wife's heart, a lot of our family members and friends out there, student loans. Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago. The Supreme Court did strike down the forgiveness of $10,000 or $20,000, as we kind of knew they would. I had hope, only because I have hope. I like to be an optimist, but it's not going to happen. No one's coming to rescue you. However, there is some good news, and I want to give some of the highlights of the good news. Just know that that all of the details of where you can read more about this will be in the show notes. And I want to thank our friends over at NerdWallet for compiling some very comprehensive information about student loans. So the first thing to know is that student loan payments will resume in October. Interest will begin accruing September 1st. Okay, make sure you heard that right. Payments will be due in October. Interest will begin accruing in September. So yes, that means you can start making payments anytime between now and then. I know I'm not doing anything this September, but know that interest will begin accruing again. There are some new programs that the administration has put together with federalstudentaid.gov. One of them that you should look into to see if you qualify is the IDR waiver. The IDR waiver was something to help millions of borrowers that got improperly steered into forbearance when they may have been better off in an IDR and IBR plan. There is still time that you can go and look in to see if you qualify for that. So if you think you might qualify, don't know if you qualify, just apply anyways and see what happens. The other thing that's in place is known as the Fresh Start Plan. So the Fresh Start is for borrowers that fell behind before the COVID suspension. So if you were delinquent, you were in default, they do have what's known as a Fresh Start program that you can even get some of your delinquencies removed from your credit report and a list of other options that are available to you. So again, it's something you want to look into. And then finally, we'll spend more time on some of our future shows talking about this because I know it impacts so many of our listeners, is the SAVE program. Saving on a Valuable Education. So this is a plan that you can sign up for now. You don't have to wait to September. As a matter of fact, don't wait until September because it does take a few weeks for all the paperwork to go through. But the SAVE program will help lower your payments if you're in one of the repayment programs through the federal government. And that's because they're changing how you qualify for the payments, the amount of income that they're looking at, the poverty level and the calculation using the poverty level to determine your discretionary income, and a list of other opportunities that can help you get that student loan payment back into your budget. So again, we'll talk about some of this on more shows. Again, there'll be some links down in the show notes on how you can learn more about these new programs. The overarching theme here is go to the federal studentaid.gov website. .gov website. Don't go to Mohila. Don't go to wherever AidVantage. Go to the federal studentaid.gov website. Use your FSA ID if you need to, get your password reset or find the ID. Go through the steps to do that, because that you need to go to them directly to find out about the programs you qualify for. Your lender, your processor may not know, and they're the ones that got us in this mess in the first place. Well, actually, going to college got you in this mess in the first place, but it was the lenders that weren't doing things the right way that got us into some of the messes that were created from going to college. So again, go to the federal website, and if you have to, call them, use your lunch break or do it after work or after, when you have some uninterrupted time, because you may sit on hold for a little while, but find out if those new programs, the Fresh Start, the SAVE program, or the IDR waiver are something that will help you with those payments. So again, this is the Money Script Podcast. We like to talk about money, and sometimes we have to talk about the money that's not so much fun, which is debt. So with that, you know what, Neesin, I'm going to ask you a personal question, put you on the spot.
Let's go.
Do you have student loans?
I do have student loans. Right before the pandemic, I paid off one. I can't remember, but yeah, I have student loans. Been hearing that. I saw what happened with the Supreme Court. I tell you right now, I am very terrible at keeping up with my student loan debt. I was doing so good at paying it off at one point. Like I said, I paid off one, and then I thought I felt like I thought I was done, and then I was like, oh no, I still have more. So this
They're the
hearing
gift
all
that
this,
keeps on giving. They just
it
keep on
is,
giving.
it
Yeah.
is, and it sucks because I I am a semester away from graduating for college. I never
Hey,
officially graduated
me
from college.
too. Me too.
So I'm just paying this money that college didn't really teach. I'm all for college. This is gonna sound terrible. I'm for college. If you don't know what you want to do, or you need some guidance and need a discipline, I feel like college teaches you all that. Plus, it puts you next to your peers, which you will be able to cultivate relationships with and come up with. So, it's very valuable in a lot of ways. Me personally, I was already doing a thing that I was going to college for, and I was doing it at a pro level in a sense. And so I was like, why am I spending all this time here? Why am I sleeping or not sleeping rather, and trying to work 2 full times, travel to do it all? And I was just like, all right, you know what? School will always be here. Let me take the step back. Millions of years later, I did never went back to go get it. And I still paying for it, literally still paying for it.
So
So
I like you. I did not finish. Those of you that are friends of the podcast, you've heard my story about this. I'll tell you the short version. I was in school, and then I had a kid on the way, and work became more important. So I left the college scene and went full time into being a financial advisor, and I've been doing it ever since. And so I tried to go back a few times, fits and starts here and there, but I am now not quite well. If I were full time, I'd be a semester away, but I am 2 semesters away from graduating from Morehouse College. Shout out to Morehouse. I probably won't do a PSA this time, Morehouse, but I'll do it again. Morehouse, I will do it again. I love you guys. But yeah, and like you said, I've been paying. I have a student loan that the interest rate on it was like 2% or something like that. So because I understand time value of money, it's like, I'm 2%, man, I'll take forever to pay that off. You're going to give me forever, I'll take forever. So I am still to this day paying my student loan from 1998. Okay. 1998. Now it's really close to being paid off. It's really close, but I got so far ahead in payments because I was just paying, I think, like $25 a month or something, because it was small relatively to my earnings. But I'm still paying on that since 1998. The gift that keeps on giving. North Carolina A&T, freshman year. So with that, Neesin is here with us live and direct from ComicCon, which I'm hearing is a little different this year. Because there's like, I don't know, some sort of strike going on or something where the writers are striking, the actors are striking, and the studios are apparently cutting down trees so they don't have shade. Go Google that if you want to learn more about that one. Interesting story. Universal Studios, shame on you. If what they're saying is true, I don't know. I haven't fact checked the whole thing yet. But he is live in San Diego. Yes, right, which is French for, what is it?
A whale's vagina.
French for whale's vagina. Yeah, Google that one too. It's true. Trust me. But tell us, sir. So it's is this day 3? What's today?
Yeah, today is Friday. So yes, day 3. Today is day 3. Wednesday was preview night, but preview night now is basically just another added night. It's crazy and crowded, and it's only open for a couple hours. But preview night, Wednesday, Thursday, it's hot off the presses. Friday, everybody's hungover from last night, and it's a time, man. You know what is interesting? I know you said everybody's on strike, which is true. It does. It's different in a sense, like people aren't here for the big You don't see the long line for the Marvel panel or for the DC panels or for these big movie television panels. You don't see these long lines for it, but it's just as packed, probably even more packed as any other year. It's still present, the presence that the studios have because producers are here, executives are here. The everything that was shot over the last couple of years, like they knew this was coming. So these streaming platforms, especially Paramount Plus, etc., like they have the content that could wait out this strike for at least like a year or two, right? So plus the content that they already
that's why
have.
Bob Iger was like, yeah, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, especially Disney. And I get people are like mad at Bob, and they're like, look, Bob is my GOAT CEO of this generation with the moves he's made, and to be able to like acquire IP and foresee that, and also his humble, really truly humble beginnings of starting as a PA and like a anchorman, like from going to PA and anchorman. But he's not wrong when it comes to Disney Plus, Disney, the overall empire. Like they have so much content that they never have to worry about making new content right now. Like, and they have movies already in the pocket. So they're good. Like when he's like, yeah, no, we're good. Like it's fine. Just come to the parks, do your thing, get Disney Plus, catch up on all your classic stuff. All the main streaming stuff is classic stuff. Go to Hulu, watch all the Hulu shows, ABC, catch up on Abbott, catch up on the Swirling show. You can do so much. So yeah, that's why when I heard him say that, I was like, you're not wrong, Bob, but come on, man.
Come on. It was just one of those things where it's like, okay, you said the quiet part out loud, Bob. That's all.
Yeah.
You said the quiet part out loud. Like, check your audience and tell people to turn their phones off and their recorders off before you say something like that. And to be fair, Bob's salary reportedly is only $1 million. The rest of his revenue comes in the form of stock options, which, by the way, Disney stock, I think, is down, I don't know, 40% or something like that as of our taping today, that year to date. So, maybe he makes an additional 25 million, but if the stock goes back up, maybe it's 50 million. But the stock has to perform for him to get those incentives, or else those incentives aren't worth anything. So I think as that was being reported, there was this slant on it. Another billionaire, I don't know if he's a billionaire, but multimillionaire, shame on you for making the comments that you did. But like you said, he came from humble beginnings. So he was in the same position as a lot of the people that are mad at him now. And I do love Disney Plus. I remember the days, and Neesin, you can attest to this, when Disney used to do that evil thing of putting different shows in the vault, and like you couldn't find them anywhere. It's like like Blockbuster would have it one week and they wouldn't have it the next week. Sorry, Bambi's in the vault. Like,
for
free Bambi.
years.
Exactly. Why is Bambi? I want to see Bambi today. And no, Bambi isn't what I'm referring to. For me, it was Robin Hood. I really loved the Disney version of Robin Hood. loved it. And that thing was in the vault for like a decade. And I couldn't watch it. I was like, I really would just like to watch Robin Hood. But now, thanks to Disney Plus, you can have access to the vault for $20 a month or something like that. So I appreciate that. Oh my, look at, we did not plan this. See, that's why Neeson is my guy. We did not plan this. Wow.
So my producer for the outlet I hear that I work for, he's a huge Robin Hood fan as well.
Oh man.
So they
Yes.
have all these Robin Hood collectors. But yes, that is right. They used to do the lock every 10 years.
Yep.
They did a 10-year vote thing. And I remember that. I remember like why? Why would they do something? It didn't make sense to me, but then when I got older, I was like, oh, it makes you want it. And then when they release it, they usually do the remastered colored or
Yep.
they're able to change
The
it. They're able
special
to make it.
features are in it and all that other
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah.
They're rewriting history in front of our eyes, in which the only other thing that does that, honestly, to me is Disney and WWE. And that's really odd that they're now like partners and stuff. So
Yeah.
they literally rewrite history in front of our eyes to where we think like, wait, was it always like no, wait, no, that no. It's really crazy.
Oh. Yeah, and I do appreciate how Disney is just recapturing all their IP back. So, they're for at one point you couldn't see all of the Captain Americas on Disney Plus because they were still licensed out to, I don't know, Netflix or whomever, wherever they were. But now it's like they're bringing it all back in house, and you can start on Friday and watch Marvel from start to finish, which I absolutely appreciate.
But Bob, if you guys please read Bob's book if you haven't read it. And the story about acquiring Marvel is such like a
Oh, it's
mob
incredible.
gang.
Marvel was
Like
bankrupt, you guys.
it's
Marvel was a bankrupt entity.
it
Okay.
is it is so fat, but like not only bankrupt, it was basically like it was sold off in these portions, and then it was sold to this
Yeah.
guy
Sony
that
had a
like
piece and
yeah,
Warner
but like
Brothers had a piece. Everybody had a little piece of Marvel. Yeah.
the guy that had to when Bob wanted to buy it, he had to go to he had to go to Steve Jobs and get Steve Jobs approval to buy it. And Steve Jobs was like, "This is dumb. No." Right? Like he was just like, "No, why would you want to do this? Like this is stupid." And then he tells him, this is the best story to me in the book because he goes to him and says, um, is this your pick? Yeah, he goes to him. He has the book. It's a comic book. Steve Jobs opens up a couple of pages, closes it, and then he just asks him straight out. He said, "Is this your Pixar?" And
Mm.
he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Is it like, would you basically like, is this the thing you want to back?" Because the story about him buying Pixar is crazy, right? So, but he goes and is like, "Is this the thing? Like, look, you're my friend. Like, I don't believe in this. I don't like this, but you're my friend. And if this is something that you truly believe in, it truly is going to be a game changer. You would have my vote because." In order for them to move that money and for it to happen, Steve Jobs had majority, basically owned Disney. Like he had
Yeah.
majority of the shares. So a no from him was no. Period. So a yes is a yes. So he goes, yeah, Steve. Like this is I really believe in this. He's like, all right, you got my vote. Like that's
Mm.
it. I don't like it. You got my vote. He goes to see the first Iron Man. He calls it stupid.
I haven't read
Right?
the book. Now I'm intrigued. I got to read the book now. This is awesome. This
Him
sounds awesome.
Steve Jobs and Bob Iger's friendship is the best story because Steve knew he was dying, but he knew his legacy.
Mm.
He told Bob Iger, and this is the last thing. He told Bob Iger that he had cancer. His cancer came back, and basically it didn't look good. 15 minutes before they announced the buying of Pixar, like they were on the
Mm.
lot. He pulls him to the side, and he's like, my cancer's come back. It doesn't look good. And he's like, why are you telling me this? He's like, this is about to be huge. I'm about to own majority of your company. And I feel like you should know. And he was like, I had two choices to not announce it and go onto the board or just announce it and move forward and not tell anyone. And he announced it and moved forward and didn't tell anyone. So it's one of those, it's risk after risk after risk that he's taken that come from humble beginnings, man. That's why Bob is like the CEO. Like a GOAT CEO to me. Like all just greatest of all time. He's Michael Jordan. Just No losses.
Flowers to Bob. Bob, I hope you're a listener to the Money Script podcast. We are up for acquiring if Disney is interested. Hmm?
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm?
more content, more union content.
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. So, Neesin, I want to talk a little bit about just your journey because you and I met. Oh man, probably a decade
Well,
ago, if not
I
more.
was gonna say at least 5, 6 years ago because
No, I think it's
yeah.
got to be more than 5 or 6. Cause I've been in Dallas for 5.
Oh wow.
You
So
forget we always condense time because of COVID. So remember, COVID was
yeah,
3 years. Okay, so yeah, it's probably approaching 10. It's probably somewhere in that 8 to 10
yeah.
range. But it was I
Dang.
walked into a studio as a guest speaker, bringing the financial content.
Hmm.
Yeah, this had to be 2015 or 2016. So yeah, maybe it's about 8 years, 2015, 2016. And I believe you were the co-host of that show.
Yohance, yeah,
Yep, yep. And we just hit it off and had some great conversations. We had fun in that little studio
that was
on
great.
what was that on?
It was
That
on
was in
I mean,
Inglewood.
it's on Lamert, yeah, like Lamert Parkish.
Lamert Park. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like you would miss you had to know where it was, or else
yeah,
you
yeah.
weren't going
You
to
had to
find the
drive in the
studio.
alley. You had to drive in
Had to
the
go in the alley, and I'm thinking, am I in the right place? Let me
alley.
open the doors real quick. Okay. But yeah, man, I admired your drive. I admired the diversity that you had. Especially when I heard you start talking about WWE. I was like, wow, okay, that's didn't see that coming, but all right, let's talk about it. So if
Yeah,
you would give us a little bit
man.
of your history, and how you got to where you are today and some of the things you're working on right now.
We definitely don't have time to go through all the roads. And that story is interesting. So music or music is the gateway to all the things that I've done. And used to be in a band called YRF. We toured, we did all the things, radio stuff. It kind of we were a little too ahead of our time in a sense of sound and where we wanted to take it. People didn't get it, and this was a time where music sounded, especially in LA. We didn't sound like the jerk movement. We didn't sound like the anything. We didn't sound like the gang movement. Like we really sound our sound was really crafted in live instrumentation. It was really crafted in putting on amazing shows and things that just weren't labels weren't really looking for. They wanted a dance, they wanted a gimmick, they wanted something that wasn't really natural and cultivating. But we created an impact in LA, which is weird to me that people come up to me now. It's like, yo, like you guys are kind of like young legends. Like when I remember you guys performing at Key Club and like all this crazy stuff. And I'm just like, that's old. But that led into me doing I used to co-direct all our music videos and I didn't know what I was doing. But I always seen the art. Like I seen it. Like it was very visual. When we make the song, it was very visual. Um and I was able to direct that and clearly articulate that to a team and put teams together, and that was very important to me, which came from basketball. But music collaboration, that led into me doing acting, which I started doing improv at UCB. That got me into did a musical called Flashing Lights, did a couple of musicals, did a one-act play. Both all these projects were touring projects. Still keeping music in the background, still doing it. Started scoring things because again, I started seeing. I would see these things play out as scenes, and I started studying composers. Um, like Hans Zimmerman and like I would literally just play scoring soundtracks as my gym workout. Is actually on my gym playlist now. I have like scoring soundtracks as my gym workout.
Hmm.
So
I got to pause you. I got to pause you. Greatest
yeah.
score ever.
So that's tough. For me, so I love the Prestige score. I love Inception. Anything like Hans Zimmerman and is just ridiculous.
He's the
But
go. He's the go. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the Avengers in-game score is ridiculous. Like
It
it
is.
is ridiculous. And Michael, I forget his name. Michael somebody. I forget how to pronounce his last name. But Avengers, Doctor Strange, the last one, the Spider-Man joint, the No Way Home. Like, man, the way he's able to manipulate just the sounds of all these different Spider-Mans and different eras and play them into, and you just hear it throughout the film is really incredible. I could nerd out on that later.
Oh,
Yeah, but so that got me scoring all this stuff. It got me more into acting, more into. Then I started like developing and directing things and like solo directing things. But it was all about I was finding myself trusting, learning how to trust myself that I could do it because I was doing these things before, but I'm like, I didn't go to school. Like I went to school for media production with a minor in psychology, right? And so I I had the vision, I had the thing, but I had to like actually do it and make it into reality to touch it to be able to trust myself. When people are already looking like, no, no, you can do it. So people trusted me, but I had to trust myself in order to take that step. And so directing after acting, directing really came into play. And that's where it is now. Like I directed music videos, award-winning music videos. I've directed short films. That led me into right now. I'm working on a graphic novel. You're actually the first person I'm telling this on like a actual like audio thing.
uh-oh, world premiere. You heard it
Yeah,
first
yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
here.
It started as a feature, and it now has turned into a graphic novel that is based in Black history and also learning, accepting your past, and then learning what accepting your past but also paving the way for your future with the sins of our fathers. So it's a beautiful story, and that's where I am now. That's a quick quip of where I am now and how I got here, and all the joints in between, from podcasting, wrestling. Had a stint as a pro wrestler, used to pro wrestle. I host like wrestling stuff, and always stayed athletic. Yeah, man,
See,
that is
wait,
Neesin.
are you still doing your podcast?
Yeah, so we still do. We've been on hiatus every now and then just because we've been so busy, but I still do a wrestling show called That Wrestling Show on for that hashtag network, which is a geek pop culture website. Hence why I'm out here now at ComicCon. Um, I still host a I'm in partnership and I work with a wrestling company that's based out of LA called Circle Six. It's an independent wrestling company. Do a lot of work with them. If you're ever in LA and you want to see some crazy crap happen, come to Bar Blitz. And next one's in October. It's wrestling without a ring in the middle of a dive bar. While
What?
yeah, it is wild. It is wild, but it is fun. It's energy that you've never felt before, and especially as Black people. I always like taking us there because they've never experienced like a heavy metal concert, like a punk rock concert. And that's what it
Mhm.
is. It's a punk rock concert, literally punk rock. And then it's like wrestling with no ring in the middle of like the bar. So people are just like around it. And so just to be able to see it, experience it, and get the entertainment of it, people instantly get it. They're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like this is entertainment. Like, got it." And then then you can watch WWE again. So
So speaking of your graphic novel, learning from
yeah.
the past and paving for the future,
Hmm.
with all of our guests, we like to ask a very uh, um, uh, introspective question,
Hmm.
and that question is, what is your first memory of money?
You know, the first memory of mine, it's at first I think it's like it's two things. It's McDonald's, and I think of Blockbuster, right? Because those are
Huh.
as a kid, those were the things that can I rent a video game? We don't have the money for that. Can I go to McDonald's? We don't have the money for that.
Don't have McDonald's money. Every
Don't have
black kid
McDonald's
heard it at
money
some point.
at some point. So those are the first two, but then it went into sports, and then summer. Like, what are you gonna do for the summer, right? Like as a kid, so I was probably 5, 4, right? It's like, well, we got to put them in something. How much is it? I was always around when my parents talked about money. I felt like, and so it was never. foreign to me, but it was definitely like scary to me as a kid because it's like, well, you know, but this is a big thing. Like it was always a big conversation in the household.
So, how do you think that those early experiences with money affected you as you got into your teenage years and young adulthood?
I thought money, and I still do in a sense, or it has a lot to do. It can. Money has a lot to keep, or it does a lot to keep people together when I was a teenager. Because, um, so I had child support, right? So my dad, mom split, you get child support. My mom was like, look, this money is your money. Like whatever you want to do with it.
Hmm.
And it taught me as a young age, it wasn't a lot of money at all, but it taught me that, okay, I had to like, if I wanted food for that week, like what outside of the house, that's where that money came from. If I wanted to go somewhere, that's where that money came from. But I used a lot of money. I used my money a lot of times. If my brothers, my friends didn't have like, oh man, let's go get something to eat. Oh, we only got like $1. Cool. Like I may have $5 a day from this money, but you know, let's take money from Friday. It's Tuesday. Let's buy everybody something to eat. And that at a young age, that taught me just to keep, you know, everyone is on an equal plane, no matter what. If I have it, you have it. And that has never left me since. And I didn't realize that as we get older, you fall out with people, right? And people hit you out of nowhere and just be like, man, I just want to say thank you. Like, I didn't realize you were this, like, as a kid. Like, I just think back as this, like, you always had this mindset as a kid of like, if I eat, you eat. And I was just like, well, yeah, like that's all I know, you know, like that's how I was taught. That's how I was raised. Like, so that to me, that's the impact that money had on me at a young age is this is meant to be shared, not meant to be, you know, stored, saved, terrible at saving money, store, save, etc.
We can talk about that offline, sir. But I
Right.
agree with you. I had a similar mentality as well as a teenager. It was everything was we. You know,
Yeah.
if you know if one of my good friends, if he was the only one that had some money in his pocket, we all had money in our pocket that day. We weren't. No one was going to get left out of
Right.
whatever it was we were trying to do. We shared, and nobody ever owed anyone anything.
Yeah.
It was a very the money was more of a community tool, so to speak,
Yeah.
and that's really what money is at the end of the day. It's a tool, um, and that tool provides you with options. And so the more tools you have, the more options you have. And as we get older, though, like you said, sometimes relationships tend to end and you fall out. We have to at some point make sure that we are saving some tools for a future day.
Mhm.
Because if we don't, then we're going to have to rely on somebody or something. And that something is the government. And
Yeah.
none of us want to be in a position where we have to rely on the government. And speaking of government, just got to recap student loans. Go to the federal website, find out what programs you qualify for. Okay. September will be here. By the time you hear this podcast, September will probably be here in, I don't know, 30 days ish, something like that. Interest will start accumulating. Payments will be due in October. Sit down now and find out how to work those student loans back into your budget or look at some of the new programs they have. There was some talk. I don't know if it's official yet, but there is some talk about a extended waiver where your loans will be due, but if you qualify financially, you can get a little bit more time before you start on those student loans again without the interest accumulating and things of that nature. But again, go to the government website to find out the things that you qualify for. Neesin, I want to thank you for spending some time with us on the Money Script podcast. Like I said, we've been trying to do this for a minute, and I'm so happy that we did it. I hope that you become a friend of the pod and we can see you back here again. I'm looking at my schedule, like, how can I be there in October? I'll be in LA in September. So we got to actually, you should come check it out. I'll see if I can get a guest pass. We have what's called the Future Proof
Okay.
down at Huntington Beach. A lot of financial professionals get together. It's a whole vibe. It's an outside conference. which we
Oh,
don't do a
wow.
lot of those in the financial world. So it'll be a future proof. Check us out there. Also, I want to thank everyone that nominated me and voted. I was chosen as one of the top 100 financial advisors by Investopedia. So shout out to Investopedia. Thank you very much for the honored recognition. Thank you to all of my clients. I'm humbled. It's an amazing feeling when you get recognized for some of the hard work that you do. And, I didn't do it for the top 100, but I will do it for the top 10. So let's go. Got to get to the top 10 next year. But Neesin, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Please, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Please, besides, searching for the nearest bed because just never get any sleep nowadays. You can find me at Stay Fly Life on everything. Stay Fly Life on Twitter, on Instagram, on Threads, on Spill.
I'm on everything.
Whatever platform you're on right now is Stay Fly Life. Please find me
Stay
there.
Fly Life everywhere. The Money Script everywhere. Check us out. Follow, like, and don't forget to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. And we will see you next time. Y'all take care.